With an update on multiple free agents and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Talking about growing his hair out prior to his WWE return, Karrion Kross told the Undisputed podcast, "I was so married to this character presentation. I was very big into Bronson at the time with Tom Hardy, and I was drawing a lot of energy out of that as well. Once I got released, I actually got offered to do a film, which unfortunately, because of just coming out of the economy under COVID and stuff like that, it kept getting put off and off and off. I had the lead role in something that looked like a sure thing, and they asked me, for the character, would you be able to grow your hair out for this? I was like, you're paying me to grow my hair? Absolutely. I wound up keeping my hair because the goalpost for when we were going to do the film kept getting pushed back, and I just let it grow." Touching on his most recent match against CM Punk, Samoa Joe said this to WrestleZone, "I think it speaks to how much people enjoy me punching Punk in the face. It's kind of the overwhelming motivation for most people to tune into the match because I have a real good habit of smashing a lot of different angles. I'll give you a lot of looks. Most people will only give you one or two looks. I'll go for the jaw, come over the temple, I'll really lump them up. I think based on that, really, what it boils down to is that he has a very punchable face, and I'm very good at punching it. You put those two massive, dynamic things together, and people are bound to want to tune in and see what's going to happen." As Dominic Mysterio recently became the NXT North American Champion, this was said about the Judgement Day status on the brand, with PW Insider noting that we are told that currently there are plans in place for at least the next month, possibly longer, for members of Judgement Day to appear regularly on NXT TV as well, beyond the 2023 Great American Bash pay-per-view. Going over the issues that took place prior to the collision match between FTR and Bullet Club Gold, Dave Meltzer revealed that what made the FTR vs. White and Robinson match so impressive in ways a fan wouldn't know is that very little was planned out. So many had issues on the Canadian tour with crazy air travel and delays. Robinson didn't arrive until around 2 p.m. local time, and FTR had things they had to film. There was an attempt to get the match moved back because with the time in Calgary, it was a 6 p.m. local time start. It was noted to us that those in the match felt they were not prepared to do an hour match, but still pulled it off. Saying this about making a return to WWE down the line, Matt Cardona told Busted Open Radio, "Listen, I am the indie god, the deathmatch king, right? First of all, it was about Chelsea. I didn't go there for me, so I didn't want to be backstage. I didn't want to look like I was begging for a job. I made sure John Cone snuck me in and snuck me out. So I was watching, and I was super proud of her winning the titles. But yeah, I want to walk out in a sold-out arena. It's great. I'm the indie god. My dream wasn't to be a big fish in a small pond. My dream wasn't to be a pro wrestler. My dream was to be a WWE superstar. So of course, listen, my phone's working. If there's a 203 number calling, I'll pick up and we'll have a conversation. But Sam, we walked about the 3 C's, but we'll see what happens. Hey, to quote the great Justin Bieber, never say never." With Cody Rhodes previously saying during an interview that he is competing with Seth Rollins to be the face of Raw, the World Heavyweight Champion said this regarding it, telling comicbook.com. "I think he's absolutely correct. I think there's a lot of guys who'd argue that they're the faces of Monday Night Raw. Cody would be one of them. Drew McIntyre just returned. He'd love to be one of them. You got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as tag team champions who main evented one of the nights of WrestleMania this year. They would have an argument. I think that's what's going to make Monday Night Raw very exciting for a long time to come. You've got so many guys at the top of their game vying for that top spot." Sticking with Seth Rollins, he said this on Impulsive on having to deal with hardships in professional wrestling. There's just a level of suffering you just have to be willing to endure. That's no joke. I think obviously there's a level of workmanship to it. Like, I'm not really trying to end you with a ladder to your body, but also there is no fighting it. If I'm throwing a ladder at you, they are just hard steel ladders, metal ladders, and they are just going to attack your body. You're going to try and survive it as best you can. Mentioning a potential injury angle for Cody Rhodes, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, I guess we'll know next week on Raw, but Rhodes did have his left arm in a cast at the premiere selling the Lesnar-Kimura attack. As Brian Pillman Jr. was reported to no longer be under contract in AEW and was spotted at the WWE Performance Center, the Wrestling Observer newsletter recently added that someone in WWE noted to us about Brian Pillman Jr., who AEW didn't renew the contract of and is training at the Performance Center, and that while not impossible, it would be less likely he'd be hired right now until after the merger is complete. Speaking of free agents in professional wrestling, one is on WWE's radar following his departure from Impact Wrestling, with the Wrestling Observer newsletter saying that Nick Aldis has no new deal in place and is said to be interested in both AEW and WWE. Aldis did clean jobs on the way out to Alex Shelley in the title match and Eric Young on TV. Aldis is a free agent right now and had agreed to work here through this week. Talking about the future of AEW star Rush, Dave Meltzer said this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Rush has been talked about a lot in WWE given his contract situation, although he is believed to have a very strong AEW offer to stay. Rush's future is in question. Both WWE and AEW have interest in him. The AEW offer is far, far bigger than anyone in NXT is getting. I exclude Gable Steveson because I have no idea what they would pay a gold medalist with no experience, but if it wasn't big money, he'd be doing MMA. So WWE would have to offer main roster money to be in the ballpark. When it comes to a spoiler on WWE's plans for Gable Steveson, the Wrestling Observer newsletter said that they pushed on NXT the next week Gable Steveson will make an announcement about his future. He didn't mention the World Championship in September, but I know that USA Wrestling officials would be furious that he beat everyone to make the team if he were to then pull out of the Worlds. We do know as of 2 weeks ago, he was committed to doing the World Championships. He brought up the choice of going back to college to win the NCAA title and then do the Olympics or training with NXT. The way it was done, and with the announcement next week on NXT, that normally would lead you to believe he was staying. He personally had elsewhere teased both returning to the University of Minnesota or even transferring to Iowa for his last season of eligibility, but that was also clearly just trying to get people talking about him. His brother, even though he works for WWE, has publicly said that he should try and put his name in the record books as the greatest American heavyweight of all time now, and then do pro wrestling after. On his podcast, former WWE writer Vince Russo criticized Finn Balor, saying, "Bro, can we just be totally honest here? Finn should be in NXT. Bro, he's not going to draw 3 people in WWE. Come on, it is what it is." Staying on the topic of NXT, this was said by the Wrestling Observer regarding the spike in numbers for viewers on the program and potentially competing with AEW Dynamite again. The 2 points most talked about by different people were that this is a contract year, so these gains are coming at a great time for the renewal price, and those in NXT who are definitely pushing for the idea of doing numbers that beat Dynamite. With him having been away from WWE programming since earlier in the year, Bray Wyatt would break his silence on social media, posting a video promoting his DLC pack for the latest WWE 2K video game. It appears a WWE Hall of Famer will be making an appearance at the upcoming Premium Live event, as it was reported that The Undertaker is slated to be in Detroit for SummerSlam weekend. PWInsider.com has confirmed. Of note, the WWE Hall of Famer is not slated to perform his One Dead Man show in Detroit the weekend of August 4th. Giving a health update on Jey Uso, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that on SmackDown they said that Jey Uso suffered a ruptured rib cartilage and would be out of action for the foreseeable future. That is storyline. For an update on the SummerSlam match between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, the Wrestling Observer reported that officially there is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal title, with stipulations to be announced this week on SmackDown. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.